Hello fellow prospectors, this is Ryan from Goldstrike Paydirt, and today I'm going to be showing you a few tips and tricks on panning at home. So we'll go ahead and get started. I've got a basin here full of some water. Kind of wish it was a little bit bigger, but this is what I have to work with today. I've got my pan here, and I've got some TNT Paydirt from Goldstrike. So the first tip I'd like to really talk to you about is to go slow. When I pan at home, I usually just do a couple tablespoons at a time and just go slow at it, because otherwise you're going to be missing stuff that you'll never know is there. So yeah, I just use a couple tablespoons at a time. So we'll go ahead and start with that. Just take my bag here and just get a couple tablespoons in there. Because if you've ever panned out Colorado Paydirt before, you know that there's a lot of black sand in there, and the more black sand you have, the harder it's going to get to get the gold out of it. So I've got it in there, just kind of break up that surface tension a little bit. I've got a little bit of soap in my water here just to cut that surface tension so none of the smaller pieces of gold want to float. So the first thing you want to do is panning. Obviously you're trying to stratify the materials in there based on their density, and gold being the densest, it's going to go to the bottom. So once your material's in there and you've got some water over it, you just want to slurry that material up. Just shake it, slurry it, get wild with it. Make sure that gold gets down there to the bottom. One thing I like to do, especially with larger pans, is to do a swirling thing, and you start with big circles and then you tighten up your circle, and that helps stratify the material and get all that lighter material at the top. So as I'm slurrying, I start with big circles and then I tighten them up. Another thing I like to do is I find something that I can tap against. So here I can use the side of the basin. If I was in a river, I'd find a rock or something. And as I'm going, I just like to tap into that just a little bit. Get my circle going, tighten it up, and then you just want to wash that light stuff off the top of there. You just continue that process until you get all that light material off of there. Yeah, you just want to let the water, you don't want to shake the pan to shake the material out, because that just kind of pushes everything out. You just want to let the water just kind of slosh that light stuff off of there. You want to bring it back every once in a while and reset it, just so that any of that light blonde stuff that's in there gets forced to the surface, and you can just wash that stuff right off of there. Once I get down a ways like that, I get away from these riffles because they trap more material than ultimately you want to keep in there. So I'll come over to one of these smooth sides over here just to get my pan down to, ideally I like to just see no blonde stuff in there at all. So I'll get it down there, re-stratify it, and then very carefully I'll let that material wash off the edge there. And as soon as I see any black material coming up onto that lip, I'll bring it back and re-stratify it. And then just let that water just slosh that material out of there. That blonde stuff up to the surface, and now I'm pretty much down to just black material in here. So now once I'm down to that, if you can see that there, it's all black sand in there. And that's a lot of black sand for as little materials I put in there. So that's really why I go real slow, is because this black stuff, if you've got this pan just laden with that, your gold's gonna have a hard time working its way down to the bottom, and you're gonna miss stuff that you just won't plain know was ever there. So one trick I have is I use a lighter. I'm not married. If you were married, you might have a wedding ring, that would work, but I use a lighter, and just like I was tapping on the side of the basin or a rock, I'll use that to tap on the pan like that. Whichever direction you tap is where the gold's going to want to come towards, migrate towards. So I want it to go up into this corner, this seam on this side, so I'm going to tap up here, and that just makes the gold kind of line up against that corner and kind of make a, as we like to call it, a smiley face. Once I do that, I just slowly but surely slosh that black sand away from there. You don't want to get too violent with it, because the gold will move. It takes a little bit to get it to move, but it will move on you. So I'm just going to slowly wash away all that black sand. And this is where it gets real time consuming, because you want to take your time here, because you want a nice clean vial of good pretty yellow gold and none of that black stuff in there. So I just tap the gold up in there, wash that stuff out of there. And there we have it. If you can see that, got a pretty good line of gold there just from a little bit of a couple tablespoons of this TNT stuff. Let's see if I can't zoom in on that. Get a better view of that. Got some pretty gold there. I just kind of sloshed it down, and that's the general idea. I just like to go slow, a couple tablespoons at a time. And that way I don't have to re-go through this material. I know this black sand down here is pretty barren of gold. So I can snuffer bottle this gold out, get rid of this black sand, and do another 2 tablespoons. And you know, that way I'm not having to re-go through my material over and over again, and I'm making sure that I recover all the gold that I can out of that black sand. So that's it for today. I hope you guys are at home prospecting like me on this cold day. And till next time.